So yeah, Starfield just did the impossible despite the hate, surprising just about everyone, but out of this emerges a very big problem we need to talk about. And despite this, Starfield's Steam rating continues to decline while at the same time seeing strong concurrent player numbers. So what in the world is going on here? And the community has an insane theory about Constellation's home base. Plus, will we be seeing more of this in the future? We got to talk about it. Yeah, but also check this out right here. Yeah, if you're ever wondering how I have so much time to both game and create content during the day, it's because of Factor. Now, Factor ships delicious, cost-effective, and healthy meals directly to my front door, and they are all pre-made and ready to go, so that way I don't have to spend tons of time prepping my meals during the day or cleaning up a messy kitchen afterwards. So yeah, join me right now and get your Factor meals delivered straight to your door. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use code POGOWG50 for 50% off your first box. Click that link in the description below or scan that QR code on the screen with your phone. What I love about Factor is they offer variety. So for example, they offer meals for my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they also have meals for keto, low calorie, vegan, and vegetarian lifestyles. They have over 34 meal options and 36 plus add-ons like smoothies, keto shakes, desserts, and more. And all of these meals are healthy too, which helps my fitness goals. And you can have these delivered 4 to 18 times per week with the ability to modify your food preferences at any time and frequency of food delivery, which is super convenient. So yeah, join me right now and get your Factor meals delivered straight to your door. Use my link or head to go.factor75.com and use code POGOWG50 for 50% off your first box. Click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen with your phone. And a huge shout out and thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video. All right, so into the first headline here, some wild things going on with Starfield sales numbers. Stick with me here because it is definitely very interesting. Check it out. It says Starfield just busted the biggest myth about Xbox Game Pass. Xbox's subscription service didn't stop Bethesda's RPG from dominating sales charts last month. Okay, so let's get into this in further detail. It goes on to say the following right here. If you look at Circana's sales data for September, you'll see that Starfield was the best-selling game in the US that month. Add-on spending, like the $35 premium edition upgrade, many Game Pass members tacked onto their free base game to get into its early access, wasn't accounted for in the data, which makes Starfield taking the number one dollars earned spot here even more impressive. Wow, that's insane that they aren't even attributing that to the actual sales numbers here, which is mind-blowing. So if we get into this even more, the plot thickens. So check it out. It says, really, Starfield achieved these record sales in spite of Game Pass, which parent company Microsoft reportedly recognizes causes a decline in the base game sales 12 months following their addition to the service. Now, Starfield's next 11 months of sales then could be more contentious. There are already signs of its fresh paint chipping. And, you know, that's the case with a lot of games that release. You're going to expect those sales to decline, especially as newer games release on top of them. We already have Spider-Man 2 out, which, by the way, I'm enjoying the hell out of that one. It's freaking awesome. But yeah, then we're going to also see Alan Wake 2. So I feel like this is more in the norm. And yes, there's already excellent titles out as well. So I feel like there's a lot of offerings out there currently. Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. You have Baldur's Gate 3, which I think a lot of people are still playing and returning to because it's extremely replayable. So a lot going on with that one right there. But we got to continue here. Check it out. It says on Steam's global top sellers chart, the latest Bethesda RPG fell a steep 26 spots from last week's placement to a miserly ranking of 45, sitting between The Division 2 and Lies of P. Wow, seeing Division 2 on there. Nice. The latter of which also seems to be suffering from dwindling hype. Now, Starfield is performing a bit better on Steam's US-only chart, blazing around 27 slot, though it dropped 12 spots from its ranking last week. Furthermore, it goes on to say this, big releases, especially during this packed October, keep threatening its standing. Mortal Kombat 1 and EA Sports FC24 are right behind Starfield in September US sales. Now, Circana's chart indicates, by some wizard magic, Hogwarts Legacy was the US 5th best-selling game in September, though its concurrent player count seems to be shrinking ahead of its Switch port's upcoming November 14th release. But yeah, that's why they're already working on Hogwarts Legacy 2 currently, because it was such a smash hit. But yeah, currently this is one of the more divisive releases of this year. You have people that have played the game and are pretty much done with it for now. They might return to the game if there are significant improvements and updates, or if that big expansion really is promising and comes with those updates. I can see that happening if they can pull off some sort of phantom liberty to really update a lot of the elements in this game that a lot of people feel are lackluster or underwhelming. I could see that being something that could be a huge positive for the future of this game for sure. But right now, currently, the game has an outstanding player base. There is so much room for improvement here. And I said that time and time again about Cyberpunk 2077. I got so much hate for rooting for CD Projekt Red, but it turned out really positively for them. And I think the Cyberpunk community overall, although it did take some time. And I think hopefully Bethesda really does stick with updating this game. It's ultimately up to them how much they want to actually update this game. But despite that, we are going to be seeing some very, very cool stuff happening within the modding community once that Creation Kit 2 does release. But yeah, also, we're seeing some strong sales numbers, but we're also seeing this right here. Starfield's rating on Steam continues to drop. And if we head to the actual source, it says right here, Starfield is now rated 64% on Steam. This was actually ultimately removed by the mods of the subreddit because it was apparently misleading. And here's the reason why. If we scroll down here and look at the Steam ratings, you can see it says 64% of the 18,440 user reviews in the last 30 days are positive. Now, overall, the average is about 69% positive currently, but it is interesting. It tells me one thing, that perhaps a lot of players are finally finishing up Starfield and giving their final verdict on this game. And a lot of people are walking away somewhat disappointed or completely disappointed with Starfield, wanting improvements for the game. Still, the majority are enjoying the game according to the Steam ratings. But even with the positive reviews, there are people that are saying that, hey, we want to see improvement still. This is not a perfect game whatsoever. And they ultimately want Bethesda really to take charge here and to give some critical updates to the game. But yeah, when I read through a lot of the negative reviews and positive reviews, I saw some critical feedback that was legit and worthwhile. So I really do hope that Bethesda goes through that with a fine-tooth comb and really pays attention to that sort of feedback, because there's some really good stuff there for sure. However, there is a group within the Starfield community, within the gaming community as a whole, that just likes to get out there and troll and hate, which brings us to this big problem. Check it out. It says, Starfield highlights a big problem with gaming as a whole. Now, it goes on to say this, the entire point of this post was to highlight the vocal group that would rather fling insults at Starfield devs and fans instead of providing genuine good criticism. It was meant to be a commentary on how people treat one another so harshly without actually providing anything of substance. Ironically, this post has invited the exact kind of people I'm referring to. Now, it says healthy criticism is extremely important for any piece of art to be refined and reach its potential. Anyone with even a loose understanding of how and why things like video games and movies are created understands this. Time has proven, however, that the average fan doesn't have the critical thinking capabilities to properly create the criticisms that help shape a better product. I know that sounds super cynical, but let me explain. But yeah, he goes on to say, I'm sure you're all aware there's an unbelievable quantity of hate being thrown at Starfield since its release. So much so that you think it was one of the worst video games released in recent years. Of course, that's a ridiculous notion and is by far from the truth, but a lot of people just can't seem to see that. Yeah, it's wild to me that this game's rating currently is lower than Fallout 76. That makes no sense. Fallout 76 had an extremely rough launch compared to Starfield. I get that people are jaded by some elements of Starfield, that things do feel dated for sure. But yeah, for it to be rated so low to me is just kind of like, what is going on here? But yeah, it says this, at this point, I posted many videos, some of which have been viewed a lot and received tons of comments as a result. Most of the time, people are cool, but every once in a while, as you all know, a toxic troll makes their appearance. This type of person that doesn't have any desire to discuss anything. They only want to mindlessly berate something. We all know the kind. What I'm noticing that's different, though, is the sheer quantity of ignorant commenters. Now, they're not all bad, but there's certainly a lot more than I'm used to, even considering I primarily make Halo content. If any of you are Halo fans, you're surely aware of the hate that goes around in that fandom. Suffice to say, I'm used to the negativity. It's a simple side effect of putting yourself out there on the internet. I feel like this individual here is overwhelmed by the negativity. And honestly, I completely get it. This post, by the way, comes from Woody is a sexy beast. But yeah, it kind of used to be like when I was growing up on games, of course, it kind of used to be me and my bros would get a game and we would be in our own little ecosystem with our own opinion and be able to enjoy what we have, you know, really, really enjoy it. Now it's very, very noisy. You always hear someone in your face about something that you enjoy. And I feel like that can take away from your enjoyment. It's kind of like one of the reasons why I like single player games. Whenever I get into co-op or whatever, someone starts going off about something, I'm like, dude, like, come on, man. I'm just trying to enjoy this. I get the criticism. I understand it. But I get also where this person is coming from. The quantity, the level of consistency, the hatred. Like every day I see new Starfield video that's trending about, oh my God, it's the absolute worst game ever made. No, it is not by far at all the absolute worst game ever made. In fact, I'm enjoying it still to this day. All right, so next up, we have this one right here. It says, not enough combat in Zero G considering how insanely fun it is. I agree with this one. This one comes from OK Company 5016. There's not enough combat in Zero G. I finished the main quest and started exploring some ship and stumbled upon a ship where the grav drive is enabled and disabling. It was the most fun I have ever had. Holy, every ship hijack needs to be in Zero G. Every time I get on a ship and it's not Zero G, I am disappointed. I don't know if it's ever possible, but I'm hoping to have fights in Zero G in space against spaceships with mechs in the game. I hear you. There was one moment in the campaign where you really fight in Zero G and you can actually activate it as well. I thought that this would become more of a thing as I explored through Starfield, where I would be able to find options within the actual world to perhaps activate Zero G on my enemies and have no gravity in like a space station or what have you. I just think that's kind of a bit untapped in this game, and it would be really cool to see more Zero G stuff. Moving on here, we have this one right here. Neon is underwhelming. For how it looks and the vibe it tries to give off, it's relatively a safe city. I was expecting a seedy city of vice and full of debauchery. I wanted to see a weird strip club of cyborgs and aliens and underground boxing match to the death. I would love to see that. Random encounters of sketchy people in trench coats trying to sell me aura and organs. Even a mugging if you spend too long of time in an alley. Beggars that are willing to offer a body part for credits to buy aura, or prostitutes that have special bionic parts, or witness some police brutality and corruption. Everything just feels very vanilla. Does anyone else feel the same? Yeah, I agree here on this one. I was hoping that Neon would feel very, very dangerous. So my opinion is this: when they update the game and perhaps we see an expansion, I would love to see them essentially cyberpunk this game, No Man's Sky this game, where they say, you know what, we have overhauled Neon, we have overhauled the Key, the Crimson Fleet, and made them more important, more impactful, and kind of diversify the feeling of the game that you get as you explore. Like New Atlantis should feel very, very different from Neon, and I think they really need to tap into that through an update. But yeah, you guys have got to check this out. This is a wild discovery. It says, taking a look at the original 2018 announcement and comparing it to the concept art, I think it's arguable the lodge was originally in the eye. So he points to the eye here, of course, and if we scroll over, you can see the original concept art, and it really does look like it was pulled from the eye, or was supposed to take place within the eye. As you can see right here, here's some more concept art. Look, very much a similar look to that concept art. That would have been very, very cool. Man, I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity right there. But I think they put it in New Atlantis because there's so many side activities and things going on there that they wanted people have a reason to be on New Atlantis more and more. I mean, it's one of the biggest cities in the game. It kind of makes sense. I do get it from that standpoint. But I believe that is the primary reason why the Constellation headquarters wasn't actually in the eye. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video, so let's do this. We have big changes at Bethesda, but what's next? An in-game feature ignored new updates. So yes, Pete Hines is stepping down and moving on from Bethesda. That is very big news. But will Todd Howard be retiring anytime soon? Again, my opinion in that video was we'll have to, I think, wait for the release of Elder Scrolls 6. Once that's released, we would most likely be hearing about Todd Howard moving on, which is going to be an absolute bummer, to say the least. Now, we have this right here. Netra Amorosi, who says this: don't have to stop doing the story. When you go to Unity, you can walk back out and not do New Game Plus. You can always re-enter Unity later if you want. You're not forced into New Game Plus by completing main quest. Just don't keep walking towards the sphere thing in the middle. Go opposite direction. Can talk to the Unity person though. Yes, of course. Then we have Talia Johnson, who says, I find New Game Plus fascinating in Starfield. I'm a lifelong science fiction reader and love the Starfield storyline that goes into New Game Plus. I haven't done all 10 because I've started new characters to figure out which traits I want for my full run through. This is the first Bethesda game I finished the main quest line. I have over 1,000 hours in Skyrim, possibly more, as I haven't checked both edition times, and 1,700 in Fallout 4. Damn. Steam pooched hours for Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Now, Oblivion I played not on Steam, and it was the closing of the Oblivion gates that led me to lose interest. Now, saving ship designs as well as the ability to change traits for New Game Plus would be great. Unlike many, I think the penalties for being a pirate aren't disproportionate. In the Crimson Fleet questline, there's a conversation where Legato mentions they are too well known to do the job. Thing I didn't notice first run though, there's a character leaning against the wall in the viewpoint after one first arrives into Atlantis and provides some foreshadowing for the main game and New Game Plus. Fascinating. Yeah, you know, I still think they need to go in and fine-tune what's going on with the Crimson Fleet, of course. And I think a lot of people agree with that assessment as well. Will that happen? Probably not. You know, I think they're going to keep it as is and very much move on to Elder Scrolls 6. But when it comes to Neon, let me tell you what, I was very, very much hoping that this would be more fleshed out in terms of feeling like a dark, seedy underworld. It feels like a nice version of that, for sure. And yes, there are the inevitable comparisons to Cyberpunk 2077. Don't get me wrong, I still really do enjoy exploring Neon. But I really, that's the part of the game that I would love to see updated, for sure. But anyway, thank you all so much for your comments, for love and support on the videos. I hope you guys are enjoying them. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.